Today in this video, we will be learning about Hyperledger Fabric and its components. What is Hyperledger? Hyperledger is a project under IBM, currently under the Linux Foundation. At first, Hyperledger was under IBM, but at one point, Hyperledger project is something which IBM wanted it to be open sourced. Hyperledger Fabric is an enterprise-grade distributed ledger based on blockchain technology that uses smart contracts to enforce trust between parties. Now that is a pretty big line, but it actually solves the real problems behind the public blockchain when it comes to business. Here, who is behind this? It starts from IBM. At one point, like I said, IBM wanted to make it open source. So who can manage open source projects and make it enterprise grade? It is none other than the Linux Foundation. Hyperledger Fabric became fastest growing Linux Foundation project ever. Hyperledger Fabric has some many properties which can be utilized by the business. Properties of Hyperledger Fabric can be applied in real-life scenarios. Let's start with something really simple. Firstly, it has many projects under it. Hyperledger has Sawtooth, Fabric, Indie, and couple of more. How does Hyperledger solve the problem? Imagine that we have two companies or two parties, party A and party B. A and B has same proxy process between each other, and they can exchange something like documents, digital assets, currency tokens, it doesn't matter. They exchange something so where the information of this transaction is stored. In general, party A do not trust party B, right? And party B do not trust party A. When both parties don't trust each other, they might have to either go into third party or they have to come into some understanding. This is where Hyperledger comes into the play. It acts as a middleman between these two, but this is something called as an automated software. It is a piece of software which has the blockchain technology under it. It creates smart contracts on which we wrote, both parties will write the code which has the rules and regulations for both parties to depend on. Why do you think business can opt it? Well, firstly, it eliminates the third parties between these two, party A and party B. Everything can be automated. Hyperledger Fabric advantages over other public blockchains are it is a permission blockchain. That means not everyone can see the transactions and the processes. Like we know, the famous Alice and Bob theory. When Alice wants to do a transaction with Bob, they both don't want others to look into this transaction. This is where Hyperledger Fabric can be very advantageous, because since it is a permission blockchain, not everyone can actually see this transaction. Let's quickly look into the website of Hyperledger. Hyperledger has many members as of now. The top frameworks are Bro, Fabric, Indie, Iroha, Sawtooth. And there are other tools of Hyperledger which are Caliper, Cello, Composer, Explorer, Quit. The projects under Hyperledger are the ones which I've told you before. Hyperledger incubates and promotes a range of business blockchain technologies, including distributed ledger frameworks, smart contract engines, client libraries, graphic interfaces, many more. Hyperledger Fabric uses something called chain code, which is nothing but the smart contracts in the Ethereum's language. Currently, chain code can be written in Node.js, Java, JavaScript, it doesn't matter. The underlying tools and the simplistic ideology behind the chain code is nothing but smart contract in Ethereum. In Hyperledger Fabric, we have channels, we have peers. Just like Ethereum has nodes which are peers, Hyperledger Fabric also has peers. What peers actually does is they act as a node, and to become peer, you have to be having a membership certificate. Currently, you can get a membership certificate from the Hyperledger Fabric itself, or you can find from the another third parties. But Hyperledger's certificate is currently very reliable, so you don't have to actually go to a third party. Now, what is all these channels? Let me tell you in a simple way. Peers are nothing but nodes. Every peer should be in one or more channels, and the transactions which occur in a channel can be only looked into the peers, can only looked by the peers. Every channel has its own consensus. That means the peers in that channel follow a consensus mechanism. They must agree to the consensus mechanism in that channel. While other channels have different consensus mechanism, a peer in one channel can communicate with other channels as well. But a peer which is not allowed to be in a channel cannot get into that channel. Hyperledger Fabric also has something known as policy inside the certificate. What this policy actually does is it allows you to have the authority, rules, and policy regulations written inside the certificate itself while creating it. Although we can change the policy, it depends on the admin, the community itself. In the next video, we will briefly discuss about the business and its benefits using Hyperledger Fabric with example.